Hello, good people of YouTube, Mountbatten here, and today we've got 5 more controversial premium ships to go over, and please go check out the first top 5 most controversial premium ships list, and then come back to this one. Now, this list, it focuses more on ships that had a pretty sketchy development cycle, and some things were changed that upset a lot of people, and, there are a couple other ships that are on this list for different reasons, but the bulk of this list is focusing on ships that had that type of controversy about it. So again, this is all my opinion. I'm not saying that these are like the top 5, the definitive most controversial ships in the game. They're probably not, although I do have a pretty good idea that the number 1 spot most people will agree on. But anyway, again, I'm not saying that these are the definitive top 5s or anything. It's all just my opinion, and we're all just, we're just doing this for fun. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started at number 5. We have the Tier 5 Premium Pan-European Battleship, or Austro-Hungarian Battleship, the Viribus Unitus. So, the Viribus Unitus, this ship started out live actually as a Tier 4. And the thing with the Unitus is that it has absolutely amazing bow armor. It has 100 millimeters of bow armor, well, of lower bow armor. The upper bow is not that crazily armored. So this is a ship that can bounce Yami shells at Tier 5. Obviously, the VU will never ever see the Yami in game, but it could if it for whatever reason would stumble across it, like in a training room, which I did do when it came out. And it's kind of funny to watch Yami shells bounce off of a Tier 5 ship's bow. But anyway, so it's got great bow armor, but everything else about it is pretty lacking for where it's placed now. So it started out life as a Tier 4, but eventually got bumped up to Tier 5. And these are some of the other statistics of the ship. It's got pretty much no AA because it's a World War I era dreadnought. It's got a 20 knot top speed, which isn't rare at Tier 5, but it's slow. And it's got horrible turret angles too, by the way, and its side armor is squishy. Plus, it only has 35,000 hit points, which at Tier 5 is really, really low. It's about 20,000 hit points below the Congo, another Tier 5 battleship. So it's got all that, and the only thing it has to compensate for this is it's got good bow armor. That's it. And the guns are pretty okay for Tier 5. They're fairly accurate, but they're not incredible or anything. And plus, if you want to use all of them, you have to show your broadside because of the turret angles, and which means you're going to get slapped in your citadel, because again, your citadel isn't that well protected. So people were obviously upset that this ship came out as a Tier 5, which means you will be facing Tier 7 ships when you only have 35,000 hit points and you don't have any AA. I mean, you have AA, but it's seriously like 6 guns, if that. And down at Tier 5, there's no Tier 5 carriers, which means most of the carriers that you're going to be seeing are Tier 6 carriers. And in a lot of games down at lower tiers, you're going to run into double CV games. So you're going to be in double CV games with almost no AA, with 35,000 hit points, which even carrier drop torpedoes really hurt at that point. And God forbid you eat a normal torpedo, you literally lose a third of your health. And you don't have an improved heal, you don't have any quick cooldown time on your heal or your damage con, you're just kind of boned. And yeah, that caused a big ruckus when this ship came out. God, I want to say it was just a couple of months ago, but it's been more than a couple of months. I think it's been 6 or 7 months ago. Yeah, that caused a big ruckus when this ship came out, because this was a hotly anticipated ship, and people were really excited for it, because at Tier 4 it would have been a great ship. Not overpowered or anything, but it would have been a great ship at Tier 4. But nope, it got stuck at Tier 5, and now it has to deal with all these things that it simply can't. So unfortunately, the Viribus Unitus was a bit of a letdown, and it was a real historic ship, so it hurts even more at that point. Alright, moving on to number 4, we have the Tier 7 Premium American Battleship, the California. So the California is kind of in the same boat as the Viribus Unitus. It really probably should have been a Tier 6, or since they put it at Tier 7, some stats should have been adjusted that they didn't. One that I've talked about before, again, was the 20 knot top speed. You know, a ship at tier 7 really needs to move faster than 20 knots. And the Colorado, the other tier 7 American battleship, the Techline tier 7 American battleship, it is stuck at 20 knots, but it has 16-inch guns, which are quite large for tier 7. The California, on the other hand, has 14-inch guns. Now, it does have 12 of them, so it does have that going for it, but it's very slow. It's a huge target. It's basically, I would say, a taste of the new American battleship line, where you have these huge, massive ships with, they're bristling with guns, but they're slow, they're huge targets, they're coated in armor that can easily be pinned by HE spam, and, you know, I think, just like with the California, that those ships need to get a bit of a speed buff, because the tier 10, the Vermont, only goes like 21 knots at tier 10, which is going to be horrible. But anyway, back to the California. So the California, again, shares a lot of problems that the Unitus shares, that, you know, it really doesn't belong at tier 7, probably should have been at tier 6, and some, you know, they did increase the range for the California to try to help it out, but it's just a case of, if you spawn in on the wrong side of the map, it's going to take you the whole round to get to the other to get to the other side of the map, and God forbid that your team doesn't push with you, and I mean, then you're just left in the dust if they want to retreat, because you can only go 20 knots. Now, I do like the California, because when it's in a tier 7 game and it's top tier, it's a fine ship. It does okay. And when it's, you know, when it's like one of the few times you'll have a game where there's only 2 or 3 tier 7 ships in the game, and the rest of the ships are tier 6 ships, it really feels like that's kind of where the California should have belonged all along. But again, 12 guns at tier 7 with the accuracy that they do have, because they are pretty accurate. You know, it would have been a bit much, but again, they could have adjusted it or something and put it at tier 6, or they could have given it a bit more speed for it to be at tier 7. But yeah, again, kind of like with the Verbus Unitus, the ship was hotly anticipated by the community, and when it came out, most of the community didn't really appreciate the California that we got. I thought it was okay, and I still think it's okay, but the ship really would have been better if it was at tier 6, or if they would have given it a little bit more speed. Moving on now to number 3, we have the Siegfried / the Aegir. So, the Siegfried and the Aegir, boy, did these ships go through development hell. I don't even know how many, like, iterations there was of Siegfried and Aegir. There are so many different types of just changes made to these ships. At one point, Aegir was going to be the secondary cruiser. For those of you that don't know, I think it was, and see, I can't even remember correctly, I think Siegfried, when it came out, it was originally supposed to be kind of a brawling cruiser. It was going to have good secondaries and 15-inch guns, 6 15-inch guns on a cruiser at tier 9. And then the Aegir was supposed to be kind of the more snipey one. But somewhere along the way, they swapped roles, and then they swapped again. And then now we have the Siegfried, which can get its secondaries out to 11.5 kilometers, and the Aegir, who can't. And the Siegfried has like cruiser dispersion on its 15-inch guns, which means like you can slap the absolute crap out of tier 9 cruisers with the Siegfried. Heck, you can slap the crap out of battleships with the Siegfried, because all your 6 shells will more than likely hit the target because of the accuracy of the Siegfried. And now you have the Aegir, which is just kind of like your standard tier 9 super cruiser with normal secondaries. And I mean, the main battery guns are fairly accurate. Again, it feels like normal super cruiser dispersion. But yeah, like, these ships, they kept going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth with both of these ships until we got the 2 that we got now. And that in and of itself, like, that was just the whole event, seeing the changes made to the Siegfried and the Aegir. But then they did what they did with the Siegfried, since it was obviously the more anticipated one, you know, a super cruiser with 15-inch guns on it, and that very accurate 15-inch guns at that. But then they went ahead and put Siegfried in the Research Bureau, which meant that you had to regrind lines in order to earn the Siegfried, which, I mean, you could do that and just grind your life away, which several people I know did that, and I mean, they went through hell and back to get their Siegfried, but they did manage to get it. Or you would, of course, either have to pay to convert XP over to reset the lines and just free XP back up through the lines, and then get the Siegfried, which would cost in the neighborhood of about $300. Because I did it with the Ohio to get the Ohio for review, but thankfully we had that weird period in World of Warships where we went for a very long time without many premiums being released or free XP ships, and I had like 2.7 million free XP saved up, so I managed to get the Siegfried for mostly for free. I think I only had to pay to convert free XP for one line in order to get the Siegfried. So yeah, I just lucked out in that. But yeah, if you want the Siegfried, you got to go through the Research Bureau now. Now the gear was released for free XP or for I think like $75 in the premium shop. So they are technically quote unquote free ships, but again, Siegfried got stuck in the Research Bureau, and it was the one that people wanted more so than the Aegir. Aegir is a good ship too, but yeah, Wargaming did that with the Siegfried, and yeah, like I said, I'm not a big fan of the Research Bureau. Because putting a ship like Siegfried in there where people want it, and then you lock it behind that either insane grind wall, that insane paywall. Yeah, not the best move, but again, that's why it's on this list. Alright, moving on to number 2, we have the Duke of York. Now, Duke of York, many of you newer players may not have ever even heard of this ship, but Duke of York started out life as, honestly, a very, very, very unique battleship. So, what it had was, it didn't have a heel, it had God tier AA, it had amazing armor, it had, I think, a 23-second reload on the guns, or a 25-second reload on 25-second reload on the guns. It had really, really accurate guns. It had cruiser dispersion on a battleship, and it had cruiser burn time on fires, which means with a survivability build and an anti-fire build, I think it would burn for like 10 seconds, or something really, really, really silly at that. Now, a lot of you are thinking, well, that sounds pretty cool, but a battleship with no heel. Yeah. So the idea was that this was supposed to be kind of like a cruiser battleship, if you will, where it had, again, great armor, it didn't have any heel, but it had great survivability in terms of the burn time of fires and such. And it was in testing for a while, but obviously a battleship without a heel isn't going to want to push, isn't going to be anywhere near the action. They're going to want to sit in the back and snipe. And that's what was happening with the Duke of York in testing. That, and anytime it needed to do anything battleshipy, it couldn't do it because it didn't have a heel. So instead of getting that Duke of York, we got the Duke of York that we have now, which is just a worse King George V. It's a King George V with, like, I think a 1 or 2 second longer reload time on the guns. It has slightly better AA than the King George, and it has hydroacoustic search. But the King George V, just like all the other British battleships, the main point of it is that, it has great HE, and it has AP that's designed to deal with lighter armored targets. So the most important thing about British battleships is most of the time their fire rate. And since the Duke of York just has a slower reload time than the King George V, there's no real reason to get the Duke of York now unless you just, for some reason, want hydro in a British battleship. And the hydro isn't even that good. It only has a 4-kilometer range, so obviously something like German battleship hydro would be much more useful than this hydro. And again, it's not like you're going to be rushing smoke with the Duke of York anyway, because it's the Duke of York, and it has the normal King George V armor now, which actually got nerfed not that long ago, so now King George V, Duke of York, and Monarchs, they're all quite squishy now. So yeah, Duke of York started out life as a very unique battleship. They couldn't get it to work, and a lot of people were really salty that they changed it because they were looking forward to it. But again, I don't really think you can make a battleship with no heel work at all, unless you just give it an absolute stupid amount of hit points. Which, I mean, again, they got pretty close here with the original Duke of York with, no heel, great armor, and the insane burn time on the fires. But again, still, yeah, especially now with all the HE spam, I couldn't see them getting this to work either way. Alright, moving on now to number 1. We have the Tier 10 Premium Soviet Cruiser, the Stlingrad. Yeah, the Stlingrad missed the last list. But yeah, I remember when they announced Stlingrad, people were pretty up in arms over it. So Stlingrad was announced way back in the day before we had many of these super cruisers. I think the only one we actually had in the game was Kronstadt. And, God, it was so long ago. But anyway, Stlingrad, for those of you that for some reason don't know what Stlingrad is, it's a paper ship, of course. And it is this insane Tier 10 cruiser with these insane guns. You'll hear me refer to Stlingrad guns every now and then if you, again, don't know what Stlingrad is. And she has some absolutely crazy shell ballistics on her guns. They are battlecruiser guns, so I think they're 12-inch guns, and they hit hard as crap, and they have this weird shell fuse time around it where they'll pin just about anything, but at the same time they won't overpin near as much as shells that are traveling that fast should. Because, again, it's a Soviet cruiser, so it has some insane shell velocities. So that's why it can, like, pin Yami at maximum range and still get citadels on Yami. Yet it can also shoot a Smolensk from 10 kilometers away and not overpin the Smolensk because of the fuse time on the shells. So she's got that going for her. Not to mention that she has almost as much health as the Iowa at Tier 9. And she has Soviet radar, which is 12-kilometer radar range. It lasts for, I think it's 15 seconds or 20 seconds, something like that. She had great AA, and Season 9 of Clan Battles kind of, ruined her AA reputation for me. But she's supposed to have good AA. She has DF AA. She's got a heal, and she's got insane bow armor to where, I mean, she can't tank Yami shells, but she's got that icebreaker bow, which makes it more difficult for Yami and battleships to overmatch her bow. She's fast. Now, she is actually not very maneuverable, and her weakness is her broadside is made of absolute just tissue paper. So if you ever catch the broadside of a Stlingrad, shoot it, and it'll blow up quite nicely. But she's got all that going for her, and when played properly, bow in or stern or bow out, and played the correct way, she is quite a formidable ship, which means she's quite popular in clan battles. And anytime clan battles or anything competitive is at Tier 10, you're going to see Stalingrads all over the place. Like I was talking about in Season 9 of clan battles, the meta was 1 CV, 6 Venezia, or 6 Stalingrads. So, yeah. Now, obviously, this is a premium ship, so you can't just pay for it. Well, at Tier 10. Yet, at least. So the only way to get Stalingrad is that you have to grind up steel. And steel is only earned in ranked battles, clan battles, and every now and then not every now and then, at the end of every year, you can get steel in the Snowflake event, or nowadays, steel is available in daily missions for, about 20 steel per mission. Well, actually, you can get 40 steel because you get the steel mission, then you get the daily missions, which reward you 20 steel at the end of that. So if you take that route, it's going to take you like years to save up for the Stalingrad, so naturally the fastest way to get it is to play ranked or clan battles, which means that the people that get Stalingrad are the people playing these modes the most. So the whole issue with Stalingrad is that many people view it as the top 1% of players are getting this crazy overpowered ship to then turn around and just beat the crap out of the casual players in random battles, which, I mean, honestly, if you go and play randoms at Tier 10, you may run into a Stalingrad, I don't know, every 5th game, if that. I personally don't take mine out into random so much because I play it so much in clan battles that I really had enough of it by the time you get back to playing randoms. And honestly, it's got a few quirks that make it a little aggravating to play, especially after playing in a competitive setting and and all this stuff. It does take a lot of teamwork to get it the maximum potential out of the ship, but again, playing in randoms with random people, you will have a game every now and then where everyone shows you the broadside and you just absolutely murder them with your Stlingrad. And I'm not trying to downplay Stlingrad or anything, I'm just saying that it's not that enjoyable to play in randoms unless you just really want to beat the crap out of some random players. And one reason that it's really not that enjoyable in randoms is because people seem to have this hate for it, which I guess is understandable. And as you're seeing in the clip you're watching right now, people will drop whatever it is they are doing and just shoot at you. Like, it's like when a new premium ship gets released and you take into battle, everybody shoots at you. It's like that every game in Stlingrad and random battles, which is understandable. Obviously, if someone has a Stlingrad, they've played a lot of competitive mode, so they probably have a pretty good idea of what they're doing, so you do want to take that person out. But add on to that all the hatred, like the Russian bias hatred and the just hatred toward the Stlingrad in general, you're going to see your priority target number jump up to 12 mighty quickly if you get spotted in Stlingrad. But anyway, yeah, Stlingrad, and again, a lot of people see this as like the confirmation of Russian bias and this and that, so another reason why it's on this list. But anyway, yep, Stalingrad's number 1. Probably would have been number 3 in the first video, but I wanted to kind of mix it up. So anyway, guys, that's another top 5 controversial premium ships. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Are there any ships that I'm on this list that I missed? What do you think should be on this list? If you had to make a top 5 most controversial premium ships list, what would it be? Anyway, guys, hope you're having a wonderful... What day is this going to come out? Tuesday. And if you did enjoy the video, make sure you drop a like and subscribe to the channel. We are under 100 subs away from 15,000. I cannot thank you guys enough for that. And remember, we are doing a giveaway for 15,000 subscribers. I'm giving away another tier 9 premium ship, so keep your eyes open for that announcement. Anyway, guys, hope you're having a great day. Hope to catch you guys in the next one.